Namaste and welcome back. In the last video, we have discussed about how the regional grids were formed, and now in this learning dialogue video, we are going to discuss about how the regional grids have been transformed into national grid. Okay, let's see. Before that, let us see the peculiarities of regional grids in Indian scenario. Okay, so right now we have discussed that we used to have the five regional grids. Okay, northern region, western region, southern region, eastern region, and northeastern region. Let us go through the peculiarities of these regional grids one by one. If you go to the northern region, it is power deficient region. Okay, we used to have very less amount of power generation over here, and the loads are highly weather sensitive. That means during the winter season we will have peak winters, and during the summer season we will have hot weathers. Okay, so the loads are highly weather sensitive. Okay, in either case you are going to have a large amount of load that is going to be it's going to be connected to the grid. Okay, you need to handle those conditions because of this weather sensitive loads. And we have adverse weather conditions, that is fog and dust as well as storms in this region. These are the peculiarities of this northern region. And when you move on to northeastern region, here the load is very less. Okay, we don't have much load in this region, but we have a huge amount of hydel potential in this region. So that's what we have discussed earlier. It's very difficult to tap this hydel potential that is available in this northeastern region because of this particular point called as chicken neck. So here we have evacuation problems. Okay, you cannot able to evacuate that power available in this northeastern region to the other regions of the country where we require electricity or energy, electrical energy. Okay, and then coming to the eastern region, again, in the eastern region, we have seen that there are huge amount of coal reserves. So we have high coal reserves here, and the generation is also good, and we have less load compared to the generation, and we also have pithead based base load plants. Okay, so the thermal plants very near to the coal mines were available in this region, eastern region. So if you want, you can evacuate the power from northeastern and eastern region to the other regions. Most of the times, these three regions are deficient, okay, with energy. They are power starving states, you can say. Okay, and then when it comes to the western region, where we have Gujarat, Maharashtra, and Madhya Pradesh, which are highly industrial established states, we have huge amount of industrial load as well as agricultural load. Okay, so again we have a lot of load in this region, western region, and then in the southern region, when you move to the southern region where we locate, it is again we have heavily loaded. Okay, but compared to the generation, we have huge amount of load. So, and 40% of the load comes from agriculture. Okay, and since it is agricultural, again it's seasonal. The load is seasonal, and we also have some hydropower plants and the river-based hydropower plants, but these are monsoon dependent. Only when we have very good monsoons in this western region or in this southern Kerala or Karnataka, we have rains, then only we will have our hydel power that is available, and that is mainly dependent upon monsoons. Okay, so these are all the peculiarities of different regions of Indian grid. So then coming to the interregional links, so in 1989, Power Grid Corporation of India formed. Okay, so the main objective of this is to give thrust to the implementation of transmission systems associated with the central generating stations. So whatever the national thermal power plants are there, whatever the amount of the power that is generated, though that power need to be evacuated to the various portions of the country. So that is the main motive behind this Power Grid Corporation of India. Okay. So what they have done few inter-regional links. So till now we have discussed about only uh, regional grids. Okay. Now this Power Grid Corporation of India established few inter-regional links, but uh, the objective is to facilitate exchange among the various regions, the exchange of power among the various regions. But they are limited to the emergency situations. Okay, they're not for the normal usage. Whenever there is any emergency, then you can use this inter-regional links to maintain the grid stability. Okay, so with that purpose, they have started establishing inter-regional links and resource planning as well as the grid operation, and consequently even then the operational frequencies of the various regions continue to be region specific only. Okay, so because we are not using for continuous operation, and still the regional grids are working in their own region, so the operational frequencies are still maintained as the regional specific. Okay, so later we have slowly started integrating the grids with each other. Okay, regional grids with each other. Okay, initially before in 1990s, we used to have this regional grids. We used to have 5 regional grids. Okay, as already told, and then in October 1991, for the first time, eastern northeastern grids were synchronized. Okay, you can see here eastern northeastern grids were synchronized in 1991. Okay, and then after this integration, then in March 2003, western region was synchronized with northeast and eastern region, forming the central grid. Okay, what are the region that you can see in yellow color? This is called central grid, and it is formed by interlinking western region and eastern region and northeastern region. Okay, integrating all these three, they have formed the central grid. Okay, so now this entire all the states in the central grid region, they will work at the same frequency. Okay, and later in August 2006, northern regional grid was connected to the central grid, forming the new grid. Okay, in the year 2006 August, the northern region also integrated with the central grid, forming the new grid. Okay, so except the southern, all other regional grids were interlinked, forming this new grid. Okay, the reason why the southern grid was not interconnected with this new grid at that time was southern grid was, there are a lot of disturbances happening in the southern grid. That means there is a lot of disturbance in the frequency because of this generation and load mismatches. Okay, so to avoid the effect of such disturbances on the entire grid, the southern grid was not integrated to the new grid in those days. Okay, so later, but there was a plan to synchronize the southern grid by 2013-14. Okay, by the year there was a target that is given by 13-14. We need to integrate southern grid also with the new grid, forming a national grid. Okay, so these are the installed capacities and target. All these things we have already discussed in the previous videos. Okay, so the focus of this national grid is focus of planning the generation and the transmission system shifted from the orientation of regional self-sufficiency to the concept of optimal utilization of the resources of all India basis. Okay, so now the focus has been shifted from the regional level to the national level, so that we can optimally utilize what are all the resources that are available in the entire nation. Okay, so for this, what is required? A strong national grid system can enable such an all India generation planning and development. Okay, for that purpose, we are moving towards the national grid. Okay. So how this national grid was evolved? Just now I have already explained this to make a review. Grid management on the regional basis started in the 60s, and initially state grids were interconnected to form a regional grid, and India has demarcated into 5 regions, namely northern, eastern, western, northeastern, and southern region. And in October 1991, northeastern and eastern grids were interconnected. And then in March 2003, western region and eastern northeastern regions were interconnected forming central grid. And in August 2006, North and East grids are interconnected, thereby 4 regional grids, Northeastern, Western and Northeastern grids are synchronously connected, forming the central grid operating at one frequency. And then in the year okay, in the next video we will see how this new grid was interconnected with the national grid, okay, to form one national grid. Okay, thank you.